I love when futuristic adventures mostly happen in the past. That certainly makes sense to me, yes indeed. I'm Araknie, and would you look at that, Future Wars Adventures in Time just dropped by the doorstep. What am I gonna do, not pick it up? Let's invite them in. This was a Delphine software adventure game before the Stealth Affair. I got told it was much better and it was true, but let's talk about it. Story-wise, you are a window cleaner, without a name, that discovers, while trying to prank his own boss, a time teleporter. We cannot say we lack initiative. From there you're gonna discover that an alien species called the Croton are at war with a human race in the 44th century. That far away? Somebody else is gonna take care of it then. Don't wanna say anything else because this time around Delphine made a funny game, so it's worth playing by yourself. Not that the story in itself is anything special in particular or original, but 7 years after this game it released in 1989, they made a Stargate movie, basically the same plot. In many more ways than one, but this time around we got a legitimate point-and-click game, at least for 2/3 of it. Yeah, because it was all inventory puzzles and interactions for the first 3 hours, and then I got an arcade sequence. The worst I've ever played in any adventure title. You have to have a shooting gallery. If an enemy has a danger square around it and you don't kill it in time, they shoot you immediately. You gotta destroy all of them, and from here on out you get a series of time sequences. An invisibility pill that lasts a certain amount of time to use, and then a maze.
See here, Johnson.
Just a moment, Hartwell. If you have any accusations to make them in the proper manner. Otherwise, I'll have to ask you to get out.
You'll ask me to what?
Get out.
The maze you can trial and error it. Just map it and in a few tries you'll make it. The timer is pretty generous and some people luck out and make it on the first try from what I've seen. That's not too bad. But the shooting moment is enormous. The enemies to kill are between 300 and 315. There's some variances too. Every time you wanna shoot you gotta click the left mouse button. Imagine me doing this for an hour, it wasn't fun. And it's a pity because I really was enjoying the game for multiple hours and reasons. There was lots of fun dialogue and I had fun discovering what hints to use and what was obvious and didn't need. Until I got struck with an arcade hammer for the last 1 hour and a half. If you can sum single digits, you've probably guessed something really important. I hope you can, otherwise I really wanna understand how you live. Seriously. But yeah, this game lasted me less than 5 hours. That's really short for point and click. Knowing that you get destroyed in multiple ways by the time the last third comes about and it's just too much to even enjoy it. Feels like it's heavily rushed from that point forward. Especially since it's a game called Future Wars and the future part is the shortest one. You spend less time maybe only in the intro, but not by much. Delphine Software still hasn't disappointed in the technical department for me, and certainly this game shows it's a 1989 game. But certain shots, my goodness, how was this possible? Especially since it runs much better than the Stealth Affair. That is what happens when you have some masterful artists at your disposal. You get a game that stands out visually and trust me, that helps. Both in seeing detail when you got to explore a room and also in appreciating the world around you. That's very important to me in this kind of games. No matter the graphical style, the engine or the era in any DOS game, I need the detail. And I'm talking specifically about point and click titles here. I wanna see a scene that has something to explore or going on in every screen. You can have a more minimalist moment, but it's gotta be thematic or making sense for the area you're in. And here they basically respect this personal wish from start to finish without them knowing about it. Good for me, I guess. Also musically I like it, but not completely. There's some pieces with a weird distorted guitar, and I don't think it fits the futuristic vibes at all. I certainly don't think about guitars when I want to imagine a science fiction story. So a little less than half of the OST was kinda off limits for the vibe I was in while playing it. The rest of it changed depending on the era you are in. I find that very charming. Because it sets a mood for a little piece of the adventure you're having. It's a good practice in my opinion. Something that more games should follow these days. Having more unique themes that change depending the parts of the world you're traveling. Apart from Japanese developers, it's a rarity to find such a thing in a Western-made game. Almost like a lost art. So let's conclude this before I repeat myself. What do I think about it? I certainly like it, but could have been a longer game and removing all arcade sequences would have been the correct choice. That's why I gotta give Future Wars Adventures in Time a 6.5 out of 10. It might not seem like much, but compared to my other Delphine review, it's amazing. Okay, I'll stop. Since we're on the subject, maybe keep the time maze. That's a final tense thing. If it's the only action sequence, it's a good throw-off. Especially since it propels your adrenaline to the max before the ending. But it needed to be much more expanded before that, also to be effective. If you wanna see me play the games that I will review plus some extra stuff, catch me on Twitch at Araknie Retro. It's my natural habitat, you see. Until next time, ciao ciao!